All right, guys, good morning. After math, anyone who has incomplete assessments will need to continue to stay on. If you have missing work, you will need to stay. If you don't finish it today during after our math time, then you will need to come back after lunchtime as well to continue working on your assessments, okay? We are now moving on to 11-3. Does someone have a question? Okay, I'm going to mute. They muted themselves. All right, we are on 11-3. So let's go ahead and go to topic 11-3. Again, we are going to be doing the reteaching and the video together. And then you will do your practice and your digital quick check in your breakout rooms.
Here is a story. Rico has 156 baseball cards. Margot has 284 cards. Do they have 500 cards in all? Let's find out. How many cards does each child have? Rico has 156 cards and Margot has 284 cards. What is the problem asking you to find out? The problem is asking you to find out if the children have 500 cards in all. Do you need to know the exact number of cards? No, you only need to know if there are more or fewer than 500 cards. Remember that when you estimate, you are not looking for an exact answer. You can estimate the sum of 156 and 284 to find out if the children have 500 cards in all. One way to estimate is to add 200 to 156. Then look at the remaining tens and ones in 284. $356 and 84 is less than 500. You could also add 100 to 284 and then look at the remaining tens and ones in 156. Another way to estimate is to add the hundreds of both numbers. Then add the tens. 50 and 80 is 130. 300 and 130 is less than 500. Either way, there are fewer than 500 cards. So, Rico and Margot do not have 500 cards in all. You have learned different ways to estimate sums.
All right, let's go ahead and look at that reteaching in your book. If you have your math book, take it out now. If you have your math book, please take it out now. Okay, you guys, please be on task in the chat. All right, here we go. You can estimate the sum of 135 plus 337. Is it greater than or less than 500? So we're going to look at two ways that you can estimate, okay? The first one is step one, add 300 to 135. Because when you round 300, when you round 337, it rounds down to 300. Okay, Danica, let's stay on task, please. So what I like to do is I like to write my number, and let's say that I'm estimating 337. What I like to do is we want to figure out this number in the hundreds place wants to figure out if they should round up to 400 or stay at 300. So they're going to ask their next door neighbor that's to the right of them. So this 300 is going to ask Aaron, stay on task, the next place. They're going to say, hey, friend, you always give me great advice. Do you think that I should round up to 400, or do you think I should just stay where I am at 300? Now, this number, depending on what number they are going to tell them which one to do. Here's my poem for you guys. Ready? We did a poem for subtraction. Now we're going to do one for estimation. 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. Can you guys all say that for me? 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. Okay, so this number, is it 5 or more, or is it 4 or less? It is 4 or less. So this number 3, it's like, well, I'm a 3. So I'm 4 or less, let it rest. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I think you've worked hard enough. I think that you should rest. I think you should stay at 300. That is why this number is a 300. So if we add 135 plus 300, we get 435. Look at the tens and ones in 337. So 435 plus 37 is less than 500. Okay, so is it greater than or less than 500? It is less. Another way to estimate is you can add the hundreds in both numbers. So here we have 1 and 3 in the hundreds place. We get 400. Then you can look at the tens in both numbers. So here there's a 3 in the tens place and another 3, which is how we got to 60. So 400 plus 60 is less than 500. All right, so those are 2 different ways that you guys can do it. We're going to do both ways. Number 1, is 179 plus 267 greater than or less than 600? So we're going to add 2. Ooh, this one is different. Okay, so I don't do it this way. So I think that you guys shouldn't either. So everyone, can you cross out that 2? Because let's look at it this way, because I don't want to teach you guys this way because then that gets confusing. So when we're estimating numbers, let's always look at the next one. So that's 6. We're going to ask the 6. Hey, tens place. So I want to know if I should stay at 2 or if I should become a 3. Should I stay as a 200 or should I go up to a 300? The 6 is 5 or more. 5 or more, let it soar. So the 6 is going to tell the 200, you should soar up to 300. So can everyone write a 3 instead of that 2? So 179 plus 300 would give you 479. Now, now that we have our number, is 179 plus 267 greater than or less than 600? I am going to say that it is less than 600. Look at the tens and ones in 267. Then circle greater than or less than. So look at the tens and ones in 267. So we have here, this is a different way that they did it. We're not going to do it this way. So go ahead and cross out number 2. Choose a way to estimate. Circle greater than or less than. So let's go ahead and do number 3 now, okay? If you want for number 2, you can just circle less than actually. It is going to be less than, because here we did 300 and then we did 479, which we know is going to be less than 600. Okay? Choose a way to estimate. Circle greater than or less than. So here we have 237 plus 417. Now, I prefer to estimate both of those numbers. I think that's a great tool. I think it's going to help you guys. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. I'm going to estimate both of those numbers. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to look at 237. The 2 is going to ask the 3. Do you think that I should stay as 200 or go up to 300? Well, the 3 is going to say, well, I'm a 3, so I'm 4 or less, so I'm going to tell you to rest. So I'm going to stay at 200, okay? So I'm going to do that with that first number. That second number, I'm going to leave it as is because we can do this math easily. So here we have 200 plus 417, all right? We know that 2 plus 4 equals 6, and then there's nothing in the tens place or ones place. So 200 plus 417 equals 617. Tell me in the chat, is 617 greater than 600 or less than 600? Very good, greater. Now, it doesn't matter which number you estimate. You could have done 417 and you would have gotten still something greater than 600. Watch, 237. If we had actually left that and then rounded 417 to 400, because the 1 is less than 4, so 4 less, let it rest, that would have still given you 637. So both ways, it would have been greater than 600. So it doesn't matter which number you estimate. Sometimes you can estimate both. In this case, it wouldn't work because it would take you to 600, but you could look at 37 and 17 and know, okay, well, I have to add those numbers back in. So it is going to be greater than 600. All right. There are many ways that you guys can do this math. If estimation is difficult for you, you can and if it's easier to just do the math, you can always just add them up. You can always just add these numbers up. Well, I know 7 plus 7 equals 14. So I have to regroup. So 1 plus 3 plus 1 equals 5. And then 2 plus 4 equals 6. So I know my answer is 654. So that's greater than 600. So you don't need to estimate if you feel like you'll do better with just doing the math in your head. All right. We are now going to be working on our practice, and then we are going to be working on our digital quick check. All right, guys, that is what we're going to end with. And then after that, when you guys are done in your breakout rooms, we're going to come back. And then anyone who has missing work is going to need to get that completed.